You guys didn't really think I'd do a whole video dedicated to recasting the original trilogy without going back and doing the prequels as well, did you? I wanted to make this video a lot sooner, but I've been on sort of a creative block here lately with work and life, and nevertheless, let's get started. I'm going to start this list with who I believe to be the main character in The Phantom Menace. I know that a lot of people speculate and talk about how Phantom Menace doesn't really have a main character, and I would argue either Anakin Skywalker or Qui-Gon Jinn fit that role. But for this specific spot, I'm going to say it's Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon Jinn is a really cool character. He was never like my absolute favorite or anything, but he is a really cool Jedi. A lot wiser than a lot of the other ones on the council. I like seeing as the years go by, Qui-Gon gets more and more appreciated, just as the prequels do as a whole themselves. And you can't top the fact that Liam Neeson is playing a Jedi. I think Geddy Lee could play a really good Qui-Gon Jinn. I just have a feeling that the Rush frontman is like just as in tune to his spirituality as Qui-Gon Jinn was. We're gonna go ahead and kick off this list with Qui-Gon Lee. Or Geddy Gon Jinn. No, neither one of those sound good. For my next character, I want to cast Darth Maul. One of the most badass Star Wars characters in the entire universe. In my mind, I just see Chester Bennington from Linkin Park playing Darth Maul really well. I've always been cool with Linkin Park. Like, there are some songs of theirs that I really, really like, and then some songs where I'm just like, I have to be having a really bad day to listen to some Linkin Park. Every song just always sounds so damn angry. Perfect for our little angry Sith assassin, little angry guy. Now, Jar Jar Binks is often regarded as one of the worst and most annoying characters in the universe. I myself have never really had a problem with him. I always liked him when I was a kid, and he's become sort of a nostalgic thing for me. But I am going to cast him with someone who I do believe is an annoying frontman. This guy.
Wanna go for a ride?
Oh. Billy Corgan, Smashing Pumpkins. How did you all ever get famous? For the chosen one himself, Anakin Skywalker, my gut is telling me I have to go with Julian Casablancas. I'm a real big fan of mostly everything that Julian Casablancas has worked on. I like The Strokes a lot. I love The Voids. Everything that he's done with Daft Punk is really cool. He's an extremely talented guy, and it always just seemed like it came natural to him. Much like Anakin. I'm not really sure how well Julian would be able to do with the dark side transition at the end of Revenge of the Sith, but Hayden Christensen also seems like the nicest guy in the world in real life, and he played that dark side transition beautifully in the third movie, so I think we're going to see what Julian can do. For Padme, I'm going to cast Hayley Williams from Paramore. I don't know, I just thought she looked badass. Up next is Watto. Watto is an old, gross-looking, money-hungry, selfish, kind of an asshole. I wonder who else that sounds like.
My trick's gonna work on me. Only money.
Moving on to Obi-Wan Kenobi, who might be my favorite Jedi of all time. I know we said Bruce Dickinson for Obi-Wan Kenobi in the last video, but obviously this is a much younger version, and I just think this character belongs to Chris Cornell. Just that calm, cool, and collectiveness that they both share. It's just, everything they do seems effortless and with grace. Those talented sons of bitches. For Boss Nass, the leader of the Gungan world, I gotta give it to Vince Neil, like present-day Vince Neil, for obvious reasons. For Jango Fett, I tried to keep the trend from the last video going, where I casted Boba Fett as Brian Johnson. I felt that it was only appropriate to cast Bon Scott as Jango Fett, since he's the original singer of AC/DC. I sound like I'm such a huge AC/DC nerd right now. I literally hate that band. But then I thought to myself that that would eventually lead to an entire Republic army full of Bon Scotts. And the only thing that I can think of worse than that would be an entire army of Brian Johnsons. That's not going to cut it. I think that Chino Marino from Deftones could play this very important bounty hunter pretty darn good. I wasn't sure about Count Dooku for the longest time, but then eventually I came around to the idea of Serge Tankian from System of a Down. You wouldn't have to listen to more than one, maybe two System of a Down songs to know that they are very politically verbal and anti-big government. And isn't all that the same reason why Count Dooku left the Jedi Order? I mean, it's almost perfect. Another one of my favorite characters from the prequel trilogy, General Grievous. I mean, the only solid pick would be Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead. I just know that their lungs have to look exactly the same. Viceroy Gunray is such a strange character when you actually think about it. He seems like a bigger villain in The Phantom Menace than Sidious or Maul do. Sure, Maul's got that badass fight at the end, but the Viceroy seems like the main antagonist. Don't know where I was going with that, but he's very cowardice and kind of a shit stirrer and troublemaker. So, I mean, you can't not give this role to Axl Rose. Come on. For Mace Windu, I just think it would be so cool to see Claudio Sanchez from Coheed and Cambria playing this real aggressive Jedi Master. That'd be metal. For the character of Bail Organa, I want M. Shadows from Avenged Sevenfold casted as this guy. Just kind of running out of ideas here, obviously. Now, the prequel movies have a lot of really cool Jedi in there that never really get fleshed out or shown very much. That is, until the Clone Wars TV show. But I'd still like to cast some of them with some of the vocalists I haven't found spots for yet. 3 of my favorites are Ki-Adi-Mundi, Plo Koon, and Kit Fisto. Kit Fisto might not have said a damn thing in those movies, but when I was younger and I had my Kit Fisto action figure, I played with it like he was the main character of all 6 movies. That was my dude. We'll do James Hetfield, Corey Taylor, and Chuck Schuldiner. And they can also be interchangeable. I don't really care at this point. Keeping continuity with the last video, I want to keep Zakk Wylde as Chewbacca. But there is the other Wookiee, Tarful, who gives a very heartwarming goodbye to Yoda right before the finale of Revenge of the Sith. So I'd say he's pretty important too. Someone else who kind of looks like they're already on their way to becoming a Wookiee in real life. Someone like Randy Bly from Lamb of God. I think it would be funny to give these 3 guys from Geonosis in episode 2 some new actors to play them as well. Gonna try and just think of the angriest frontman that I know. Let's do Ivan Moody from Five Finger Death Punch, Jonathan Davis from Korn, and for the 3rd one, we'll do Henry Rollins from Black Flag. He seems like a pretty angry guy. Chester Bennington would fit perfectly in these roles too if he wasn't already tied up. Ice Cube isn't a rock and roll singer by any means, but I also just feel like he's a real angry singer. Maybe we'll make him one of those little zombie, little scary guys. Okay, I wasn't going to recast Palpatine, and I was just going to keep the same thing I said in the last video and have Dave Mustaine play him. But just as I was about to get up and turn my camera off, my brain said, what about David Bowie? How cool of that middle-aged Sith Lord that David Bowie could play. I am so clever. Hope you enjoyed this recast list. If you're planning on holding your breath for a sequel recast list, my suggestion to you is don't do that. I love reading the comments down below and seeing people discuss who they think would be good recasts. But yes, please subscribe and join the Metalhead Academy. That was so dumb.